So we are live now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are live. Thank you so much for joining us today. Whether you are watching us live or we watch the replay, we thank you so much for your time. As you're coming in, say hello in the comment section and let us know where you're watching us from. Today, we are having a conversation about balancing life, overcoming obstacles, and how building an online business has changed our journey. Because sometimes when we see someone building something online, we only see where they are today. We don't always see the late nights, the learning, the sacrifices, or the moments of doubt. And we certainly don't see everything they had to overcome along the way. So today, we are going behind the scenes and sharing some of those experiences with you. For those of you seeing me for the first time or joining us for the first time, welcome. My name is John. I'm originally from Nigeria and I now live in the United States. I'm a digital business owner. Like many working parents, my life was already busy before I started this journey. I had my career, my family, and my everyday responsibilities. Then I decided to start building an online business alongside everything I was already doing. This journey has taught me a lot about time management, sacrifice, patience, and personal growth. And I'm happy to share some of those experiences with you today. But now I'm not having this conversation alone. I'm excited to be joined by my wonderful guest and business partner. Welcome, Madeline. Please, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Thank you, Sis Joe, for hosting us today, and thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be here to share about our online business and how it has changed our lives, how we manage it. That we hope to encourage mothers just like us to know that there is more beyond our 9 to 5, especially immigrant parents living abroad. You know how life is. It's always busy. We are always working, and sometimes we lose ourselves in there, and we forget that we have a life to ride. We focus on taking care of others, and we forget about ourselves. So we hope this conversation will help you understand that there is more beyond your 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. If this is your first time seeing us here, my name is Marilyn, originally from Papua New Guinea. I now live here in the States with my family. I'm a mom of two. I'm married. I work part time as a nurse, and I also run this digital business alongside my job. And I'm happy to be here with my business partner Joan. Back to you, sis.
Thank you so much for taking time to join me today. Thank you for sharing that. Let's get into our first question. How do you manage your time while building, running an online business alongside other responsibilities? That's a great question because time was actually one of my biggest concerns when I started this journey. I remembered asking myself, where am I going to find the time to do this? Between going to work, taking care of my family, managing responsibilities at home, and everything else that comes with everyday life. My schedule was already full. At first, I thought I needed to find extra hours in my day to build a business. But I quickly realized something. I didn't necessarily need more time. I needed to become more intentional with time I already had. So instead of me waiting for the free day. I started making better use of the small time I had already. Sometimes that means watching the training after work, and creating content when I had a little time to do it. If I couldn't watch the live webinar or training because of my work schedule, I could go back and watch it later at my convenience time. I also learned to prioritize. I didn't do everything in one day. Some days I may focus on learning, another day I may create content, another day I may follow up with people or work another part of my business. And I have also learned to give myself grace. There are days when work is demanding, or my family needs more of my attention, and that's okay. Managing my time isn't about having a perfect schedule. It's about being intentional, staying consistent, and doing what I can with the time I have. You don't have to make a huge amount of progress in one day. Sometimes one small step is enough, as long as you keep moving forward. Mentor Madeline, can you tell us can you tell us how you manage your time while building or running your online business alongside your other responsibilities? What has helped you make it work?
Thank you, sis. And I know a lot of people watching us now, they will resonate with this one because I had some people ask me, they tell me, I don't have time to do it. I don't have time to do it. I already work. I have a job. I have kids. I have this. I have that. I don't have time for it. But here is the thing. You say you don't have time, but you find yourself scrolling your phone for 30, 40 minutes in a day, or maybe sometimes an hour, 2 hours. You didn't realize it until you see the time and you were like, oh my goodness, I've been on my phone for this long. I've been there, I've done it. And sometimes we lost track of time when we on the phone searching one thing to another thing, and then something catches our eyes. Then we lose focus on what we were doing, and then we started chasing this and that and all of that, and we tell ourselves, "Oh, I don't have time to do this." Listen, when I started this business, I was working full time. I had two little kids. My husband was working full time. And actually, I didn't know that there was a lot to do that, that not to do, sorry, a lot to learn before I can really understand how the business works. You see us, like this Joe said, um, you don't know how people get to where they are now. You just see where they are now, but you never see the sacrifices that somebody has made to be where they are now, right? And another point she said was, be intentional about what you want to do. And most of us are not being intentional, right? So for me, when I first joined, I was like, oh, it's okay. They said it's automation. It will work for me. I don't have to worry. But no, I didn't realize that I have to take my time to learn, to go through the training, learn how to manage my time, because we have that in our training, and all of that was there. So it came to a point that I realized that I don't need, you know, hours of free time. I need to be intentional with the time I already have. All of us here have 24 hours. God has given us 24 hours in a day. It depends on how you plan and use your time, right? So, as busy parents, we know we have kids that we have to wake up in the morning, get them ready for school, prepare their lunch, take them to school. When we come back home, we have to clean up a little bit, maybe prepare dinner, get it ready for later, or then you have to go to work and things like that. And yes, we get busy, but with this business, it made me realize that I need to plan. I need to plan my business activities around my work, my family, and schedule instead of trying to fit everything into one day. You know, you've been there before. You try to do something and you forget. And at the last minute, you try to squeeze everything into that one last minute open window and you find yourself exhausted and you question yourself why I didn't do it ahead of time. It's because, we're human and we do forget things and things do happen and it makes us lose focus of what we really need to do. Instead, we do things that we don't actually need to do in that day, right? So in this business, I learn to plan. I don't just get up and say, okay, now I'll do this. No. I have to make a list of things that have the higher priority and then go by my list and see what I can do today and what I can't do, right? So in my business, this is what I do. I focus on income producing activities. And you might be asking, what is that? So those are like creating content, follow up on the people that showed interest, and checking on them, see how if they have any questions for me and things like that. Connecting with people like I'm connecting with my sister here, going live, and supporting people who are interested. Right? You don't have to have a lot of time. You can use those small pockets of time, 20 to 30 minutes, and you can accomplish something, right? The least you can do is 2 to 3 hours. You can dedicate it to your business to make it run successfully, right? And now I've like the more I learn and gain little knowledge of how I can be creative in my business. Now I learn to create in batch, meaning I create a lot of content and then I use them. Like one day I'll take that day and say, okay, today I'm creating content for this, and these days. So I know my content is ready. So when the days come, I'm just plugging it in for that time, right? So, every day you don't have to create from scratch. If you plan ahead and know what you have to do in a day, you'll be able to run your business successfully alongside other responsibilities that we know we all have. And another good thing is the automation of our business.
Yes.
It runs for us in the background. It continues to work for us while we are busy with our family and other responsibilities. You know, you don't have to start with everything, knowing everything, just come as you are. You will learn as you go. For me, I've learned to be consistent. It's more important than being perfect, right? I
Yes.
may not do everything every day, but I keep showing up.
Mm-hmm.
And before I finish here and give it back to my sister, most of us, uh, we feel bad or we feel like we've done wrong when we set boundaries. And it's a difficult thing. I'm still learning, some places I've set boundaries, but some places I'm still working towards it. Setting boundaries is really hard for us. But if you want to build your business and become successful, that means you have to set boundaries, you know, and start focusing on what will help you build your business. It doesn't mean that you sacrifice every family time and this. No, there's some things, some days you have to tell the kids, no, mommy have to work on my business today. We are not going out to the park or we are not going to the shop or I'm not taking you out for ice cream today. Today, mommy have to do this. We can do it another day, right? So to finish with this, we don't have to try to make more hours into our days.
Yes.
You just have to be intentional about how many hours or how many minutes you want to put into your business. Thank you, sis. Back to you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very powerful. I can definitely relate to that. When you're working and raising a family, when is everything ever going to be perfect? And I think that leads perfectly into our next question because when you're trying to build something new alongside an already busy life, there are going to be challenges. There are going to be a moment when things don't go as you plan. And sometimes there are sacrifices involved. So let's talk about the part of that journey. Mentor Marilyn, what have what have been some of the biggest obstacles you faced while building your online business, and what sacrifices have you had to make along the way?
Thank you, sis. And that's a good question right there. There's a lot of obstacles, when building something new. It doesn't have to be online business. Anything, when you start something new, there's always some obstacles that you have to face before, you know, you overcome them to get to where you want to go, right? So one of the obstacle for me was fear. Okay, I had this fear of failing. I had this fear of judgment and wondering whether I could really do this. My biggest fear was coming live and talking in front of the camera because I don't like that. That was one of the biggest fear. And learning something completely different from my regular career, it took patience for me to come out, to really come out. I can, if I see somebody in my line of work, I can take care of that person. I can talk with that person, and do things like that. But coming on the screen like this and talking to people, you know, like, I will not see them in person. It's like, oh my gosh, how do I do it? And then this other thought kept coming up. What did they laugh about your accent? I know I have an accent. And I was like, yeah, they might laugh at me. And all this, fear keep on building up. But it came to a point that I said, I need to try it. If I don't do it, then I won't learn, right? Um, when I started, I didn't know everything about social media. Yes, we know social media is there. People go there and post their things and whatnot, right? But I didn't really know, all the work that you need to put in to, present it to the people, right? Your audience, I mean, like content creation, marketing, or building a brand. I didn't know all of that, but I said, I need to learn it, right? And um, I slowly come out of that fear, out of that comfort zone, and I said, I need to try to do things. But one good thing here is our training site have everything that we need to learn to be
Yes.
successful in our journey, right? So I slowly learned how to create a business page on Facebook. I didn't know that you need to have a business page when you run a business online using social media. I said, okay. So I learned how to do that, and slowly I learned other platforms too. But I first learned how to do it on Facebook. There were times when I posted something and then, you know, I get negative comments or um, people say nasty things, and I got discouraged and it hurt at first. But, you know, with the encouragement of my coach and other business partners, they say keep going. People will be people. It doesn't matter what we do, what we post.
Exactly.
There's always somebody there that will come with negative thoughts or comments. People will say nasty things to you, but you know what you want, right? So keep going. And I know many of us are stuck in the situation that, oh, somebody said something bad to me. I'm not going to do it again. I'm done. Now we have to find solutions. We are entrepreneurs. We need to find solution for ourselves, right? When you work for somebody, they find solution for you. But when you work for yourself, now you have to find solution and say, how will I deal with this now? You know, I know my sister have dealt with it too. We dealt with rejection. Not everyone here will understand what we are building, and not everyone will support us. But it's okay. because we know what we want and we are building something that nobody can take it away from us. It's ours. From the first day, we said, yes, it's ours. We have our name on it and nobody can take that away. And that's the best part of, our business. And
Exactly.
there's also challenges. Sometimes you have challenges like, today I don't want to work on my business. I want to watch TV all day, or I want to scroll on social media, or I just want to relax. But then again, you ask yourself, if I do this, will it help me? Will it help my business? And you will get the answer no. Because if the time that you spend on watching TV or scrolling through social media is the time you can use and build your business, learn something new every day. And the other part of the question is what sacrifice you have to make, right? Um, One of the sacrifices I have to make is comfort, coming out of my comfort zone. Because most of us, we are so comfortable in the place we are now and we don't want to step out of it, right? So for me, it's that coming out of the comfort. I have to sacrifice that to come out and to learn because the growth requires us to do things that we thought, you know, we could never learn. I wasn't comfortable being um, like I said, comfortable doing live, being in front of the camera, speaking publicly, sharing my story and putting myself out there. I wasn't comfortable, but I remember why I started building this journey, business in the first place. There are moments where I get frustrated, I get discouraged, but I remember the why. Why did I start this online business? Why did I decided to choose this online space instead of looking for a second job? When I remember all those, I said, yeah, I need to come out and keep going forward. The biggest sacrifice wasn't just money or time. It was giving up the comfort of staying the same. Most of us are so comfortable at where we are now, and we are not willing to step out and try something new. We just want to be there. But year after year, we don't see any change. And then we start complaining, oh, why am I not this? Why am I not that? Why is this person being so successful and I'm stuck here? It's because you yourself don't want to step out of the comfort zone. You want to be stuck in that comfort zone and feel so good there. Maybe you say, oh, my 9 to 5 is okay. I'm comfortable right here. But then you complain about being tired, being stressed, not enough time for your family. Now you have to think outside your comfort zone and say, hey, if I want to see change, I have to be the change to see change. Nothing happens until you do.
Yes.
Thank you, sis. Back to you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. For me, there has been obstacles too. One of my biggest challenge was stepping out of my comfort zone, like you have mentioned. Remember that my professional background is in healthcare, not in marketing, technology, or online business. So when I started, there were many things I had to learn from the beginning. Creating content, like my sister have already said, was new to me. Digital marketing was new as well. I remember wondering, can I really do this? There were moments when I doubted myself, but I decided that instead of saying, I can't do this, I would tell myself, I may not know how to do this yet, but I can learn. That change, that change in my mindset made a big difference for me. Another challenge I had was that finding the energy to work something new after already having a busy day. There were times when I came home tired from work and would have loved to simply relax. And that's when some of the sacrifices came in. Sometimes I sacrificed some of my leisure time to attend training. Sometimes, instead of watching television, I spend the time learning a new skill. There were evenings when I worked on content on my business when it would have been easier to say, I'll do it tomorrow. But I never gave up. I always learned that sacrifice doesn't mean neglecting yourself or your family. For me, it's about making intentional choices with my time. Looking back, I realized that many of those small sacrifices weren't really about giving up something. I'm giving something up. I was investing that time into learning, growing, and building towards something that matters to me. That leads us to the next question. Now we have talked about managing time. We have talked about our obstacles and the sacrifices. So let's talk about how starting and building an online business changed our lives. Mentor Marilyn, how has starting and building an online business changed your life when you look back at where you started and compare it to where you are today? What's the difference?
Thank you, sis. Yes. And, looking back, it's been a journey. Being in the business for 5 years now, looking back,
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of changes has
Yes.
happened with me personally in my journey, in my business, with my family. A lot has changed, and one of the biggest change has been my mindset.
Mhm.
You know, before starting the online business, my mindset was different. I look at things different. I say things differently. When I come into a problem, I don't ask myself, okay, what can I do to fix this? Or how can I fix this? What tools and resources can I use? I just quit. I said, no, I can't do this. I just stop and I don't want to do it again. But with this business, my mindset has changed a lot. Now I ask myself, okay, I have this problem. How can I solve it? Who can I ask for to help me? What can I do first before I ask for help and all of that, And it also made me look at the income not the same anymore.
Yes.
Money is a tool that we have to use it with purpose. If we don't use it right, then we always complain about it. Oh, now I don't have money for this. I don't have money for that. And I used to think that earning more money automatically means that I have to work more hours. Right now, I understand that there are different ways to build an income. It's not just picking up extra shift or working overtime or working um, all the holidays, because we know working holidays you get double pay, right? As a healthcare worker, we know that. But it made me realize that I have to live within my means. What God has given me, I have to use it wisely so that I know. Now I use my resources wisely and not just telling myself, okay, I need to pick up more hours. I need to do extra. I need to do overtime so that I can have more money. And here's the thing: we as human beings, the more we make, the more we want to spend, and we don't, um, try to save money here and there, but we want to spend and spend and spend. That's our issue as human beings. That's what we do, right? Now, the biggest what has changed my life is my mindset. Another thing is I've become more confident in what I'm
Yes.
doing. Once those things once scared me. Now I feel confident doing it. For example, coming live here, creating videos, talking about my journey, they have become part of my growth. You know, when I first started, I wasn't comfortable sharing, but now I'm sharing, not because I want to share. I share it with the intention that it will help others like me, especially immigrants, to know that, we don't have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to survive. There is something more outside our job, and you can do it. Why? Because first of all, it gives us the flexibility. It gives us more options and help us to decide how we can do it and when we want to do it. Like we already shared, if we busy moms can do it, you can too. You don't have to give in 8 to 10 hours just to build your business. 2 to 3 hours a day minimum, and you can start this business and learn as you go. As we said, we have trainings in place, we have mentors and coaches that will help guide you, and you will not be alone. You have somebody there to help you, right? And on top of that, we have the automation that you do your part and the automation will do its part. So that in that way you don't have to spend 8 to 10 hours trying to figure out what you have to do, who's the next person that you have to talk to and things like that. No, right? I also learned skills that I never thought I would learn, like doing the marketing on social media, communication, leadership, mentoring, and personal branding. Those things, they're all new to us when we started, but slowly, slowly we've learned, right? Now I've become more intentional with my time. Building my business has given me a bigger vision for what is possible for my family. It has also allowed me to connect with people from different places, different time zone, different country, and encourage others who may be experiencing the same struggles I once had. You know, we still have responsibilities and challenges. The difference is that today I know that I'm building something that belongs to me instead of depending on only one source of income. I have a second income. And most importantly, the journey has given me a greater sense of purpose. It's no longer only about what I can achieve, it's about who I can help. You know, when I started, I thought I was building a business. Along the way, I realized that business was always, business also was building me, my confidence, my mindset, my skills, and the vision for the future. So you see, we are just ordinary moms. We don't have any business background experience whatsoever. Our background is in the healthcare, but we decided to give ourselves a chance to create more options for us and for our families. If you are a mom watching us right now, we want you to know that there is more beyond our 9 to 5s. If you want to learn, we'll be happy to help guide you. Thank you. Back to you, sis.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing that. For me, I love this question because when I look back at where I started, I can really see the difference. For me, one of the biggest changes has been who I've become through the process. Sometimes I wonder whether I was capable of learning something so different from what I used to do. But I started anyway. I attended trainings, watched the webinars, asked questions, and learned new digital skills. I became more confident. I became more comfortable sharing my story, knowing that my experience could encourage someone else. I started believing in myself more, in my ability to learn, and to grow as well. Look at me today. I'm sitting here sharing my experience with all of you. That alone showed me how much I've grown. Of course, one of my goals in building an online business is to create additional income, more flexibility, more options, and more time with my family. But I've also learned that the journey itself has value. Today, I have digital skills that I didn't have when I started. I have more confidence than I had when I started as well. I've connected with a supportive community of people who continue to guide and encourage me. And I've also discovered that my career doesn't have to prevent me from learning something different and building something of my own along the way. I'm still working, still building, and working towards my goals. But today I can look back and say, I'm not the same person who started this journey because I have seen a lot of changes. That's one of the greatest change of all. If there's one thing I hope you take away from today's conversation, is this: you don't need to have everything figured out before you begin something new. You may have responsibilities, you may have obstacles, and you may have sacrifices, and you may have moments when you question yourself. But growth often happens when we are willing to keep learning and moving forward despite those challenges. You don't need to have a perfect time or a perfect schedule. You don't need to know everything, and you don't need to become someone else before you start. Sometimes you simply have to be willing to begin where you are. Use what you have and keep learning along the way. Mentor Marilyn, do you have any final thoughts?
Thank you, sis. I love what you said. You don't have to know everything before you started. Like I said, when I started, I didn't know everything, but I was willing to change, come out of the comfort zone. I was willing, I was tired of being stuck in the same place of, going to work, coming home and living that paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. I don't want that. I want to have other options that can help me, generate income and still do my job. So, we as moms, parents, we have responsibilities. Yes, we have other things that we want to do. But here's the question for all of us: do we want to be stuck in that same cycle, or we want to come out of it and build something that will help us generate extra income and also give us more options and the flexibility that we need? So, like my sister said, if you're watching us and you are curious, you want to know more, our websites are on our screens. On the screens, you can register on the website and start with the free information, and then you can decide. Like we always say, we are not here to force anyone, we are just sharing information, and we are here to help guide you step by step. Thank you, sis. Back to you.
Thank you so much. If today's conversation encouraged you and you've been wondering how we have been building online businesses alongside our other responsibilities, like she have already said, feel free to reach out to us through any of these websites on the screen. We are happy to answer your questions and help you understand more about what we do. Before we go, I want to leave you with this. Don't compare your beginning with someone else's middle. The person you are watching today may have once been afraid to take the very first step. They are now confidently talking about it. Give yourself permission to learn. Give yourself permission to grow, and also give yourself permission to become a better version of you. Thank you so much, Mentor Marilyn, for joining me today and for being willing to share your journey so openly with us. And thank you to everyone who joined us live or watched the replay. We truly appreciate your time and support. Have a wonderful day. God bless you, and we'll see you on our next live. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Have a blessed weekend.